Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a movie review today for the 2019 Jacob's Ladder remake. Yes, the remake of the 1990 film starring Tim Robbins, the one that I saw many years ago when I first became a Silent Hill fan. Silent Hill sucked me in. I became obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with that movie those films. Excuse me, those video games for a very long time. I like the second movie. I love the first one, even though either of them are not perfect. Jacob's Ladder was the inspiration for that original movie. I kept hearing people in the community talk about that movie and how wonderful it was, and I fell in love with it. It's such a powerful flick. I've had this DVD copy forever. This film probably, has some of the scariest things I've ever seen in movies, ever, in it. Very much like David Lynch's Eraserhead or Antrum, the deadliest film ever made. There's so much scary stuff in this movie that I've never forgotten as long as I've lived. All these years since I saw the film. And I'm such a big fan of it, I even have a screenplay bound in an actual book here, with some pictures and stuff in here. And of course, this original film has a wonderful performance from Tim Robbins. It's really, to me, his best, most well-known movie that he did. He was in Mystic River, but who cares about that? I'm a huge fan of this. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. It's not perfect, but it is a great, great, great horror classic. If you're a horror fan of any sort, you should watch this movie if you haven't seen it before. If you happen to be a Silent Hill fan, you should check it out. If you happen to be a fan of this already, you should check out the Silent Hill video game franchise. They have a lot of love for this movie in the original video game, even kind of taking the ending away from it. Anyway, I saw the 2019 Jacob's Ladder film's trailer pop up many years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe this shit got made. And I cannot believe that it's a remake. Of course, the remakes have been coming out left and right for everything, from Halloween to this, over the years. For like over the last 10 years, as a matter of fact, closer to 15 years now. If not right at 15, now that I think about it. 2022. Anyway, we've had some good remakes, and we've had some really, really bad ones. And this is a great example of one of the absolute worst remakes we've ever gotten, and that I will ever talk about on this channel. Easily, hands down, no questions asked. It's stupid, it's horrible, it's boring, it's bland, it's plotless in all the worst ways. And you could argue the original film was kind of plotless, but that one has kind of a real motivation to it. You understand why it's plotless. It's kind of just a guy kind of caught in a weird government conspiracy mystery, but also having these nightmarish visions about different things that happen. This one is actually an ex-soldier, which very much is like the Tim Robbins character. This one is set in modern day. It's an ex-soldier, and he is starting to have nightmarish visions. That's it. And you have some flashbacks scattered out through the entire film. And there's a big twist about an hour into this hour-and-a-half long movie that makes it even worse than it actually is. This is a horrible movie. I mean, I genuinely don't have any other words for it but horrible. I'm not a difficult person to please when it comes to movies or books or comics or anything that I'm reviewing. I'm not hard to please at all. As long as I'm entertained, you don't even have to have the best acting, the best directing, anything like that. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of those films out here I'm going to have to slaughter in my review because of how unbelievably bad this movie is. Everything is bad in it. Everything. It's very rare that I see a film that I hate everything in it. I genuinely hate everything in it. I don't care if it's the cast. I don't care if it's the script, the directing style, the cinematography that's not ever there. I don't care what it is. I typically hate movies that do what this film does. It's a horrible embarrassment for the legacy of Jacob's Ladder or Adrienne Lynn's original movie 30 years ago. Or 30 years before this. Imagine making this movie. Imagine releasing something like this. The guy who wrote this film is the guy who wrote the newest version of The Grudge. Not the remake that they did with Sarah Michelle Gellar, the newer one. The one that no one saw, including myself. I still need to at some point, even though I've heard it's horrible. He wrote that. He wrote the horrible Pet Sematary remake from a few years ago. Which I own that, but it's not for the reasons that most people would want to say that they own a movie. I hate that movie. It's horrible. It starts out okay, and then it just falls and deflates, basically, into complete shenanigans, you know? Yes, that guy of all people is attached to this film. This is a horrible mess. And again, I mean that. I'm trying to put it as quick and over with and to the point as I possibly can. Everything is bad about this film. There are some embarrassing, literally laugh out loud moments. The nightmare visions that we had from the original movie that were classics of the horror genre, and so scary. To this day, 30 years later, they frighten me. Even though I didn't see them 30 years ago, because I wasn't alive 30 years ago. But still, all these years of watching this original movie over and over again, and then seeing this remake now for the first time, and seeing the nightmare sequences go as far to be the extent of a person either having black wings growing out of their back for a split weird sex scene, or an old lady that has makeup on. And when I say makeup, I mean like zombie makeup. That's the extent of the scares in this film. Not including all the stupid jump scares. They're not even classy, they're not well done. There's a little bit of reference here and there to some moments from the original film, but always done poorly. Do you remember the subway scene with the homeless man? Yeah, that's recreated here in the stupidest, worst possible way you could possibly do that. What's the point? It's very clearly a movie that was not supposed to be Jacob's Ladder as a remake. And then they threw in a bunch of stuff in reshoots. It's very clearly what happened, in my opinion, with this. It's so different and so off the wall. The plot might sound relatively similar, but honestly, when you get further into this and see how awful the twist is, you have no idea. I don't even have words. If you thought Silent Hill Revelations was bad, I like that flick, but if most people in the audience, thought that was bad, you should see this movie. It's horrible. There's no words for it. There's just genuinely nothing else to be said about it. It's a mess. It sucks in every possible way, and I do not recommend Jacob's Ladder, the 2019 film remake, for you. Watch the original classic here. Read the freaking screenplay if you want to. Whatever will get you away from this piece of junk, even though it's free to watch on Tubi right now, which is where I saw it. I refused to ever buy this movie. I refused to ever go out of my way to check that movie out or rent it or anything. I was determined if I was going to see it, it was either going to be free on Tubi or free on Prime, or somebody was going to buy it for me as a joke, as like a gag gift for Christmas. So, Tubi, thank you for the gag gift. This movie's horrible. I'm glad I finally got to see it, to get it out of the way after all these years of speculation somewhere deep down in me. But it was awful, and I hate it. And I hated every minute that I had to sit through it. It sucks, it's not worth your time, it makes absolutely no sense at all. There's no logic to this movie, and the original film kind of has a little bit of that, but it's intentional. It's written by someone with a brain and with some creativity. This film is not. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the Jacob's Ladder 2019 remake? Did you hate this as much as I did? I hate it with a burning, fiery passion. I hope it just dissolves from history. I hope people never talk about this again, nor will they. Anyway, this film is a horrible film, and if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, you can guarantee that if I hated everything in the movie, it's a 1 out of 5 stars for me. It sucks. There's nothing worth watching this movie for, unless it's just pure curiosity like I had, because I'm a big fan of the original. Other than that, there's no reason for you to care about this piece of crap. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Put them down below. What do you think about the original film? Does this review, this rant, make you want to go watch that original movie? If you take my recommendation and go check it out, let me know what you think about it. I think it's an absolute classic, probably in the top 10 scariest films I've ever seen in my life. And I always forget it exists. I don't know why. I just do. And when I look at my collection of movies and I see that in there, I'm like, oh yeah, you know? Anyway, what are your thoughts on the original? What are your thoughts on this terrible remake that I hope you didn't waste time on? Thank you for watching. God bless you. Merry Christmas once again, even though that was yesterday and now it's over and gone with for another year, which is sad. Goodbye, guys.